should probably just start the whole thing over. You've been working on one script for 4 hours and you're still not done. Maybe you're just not good at this.
Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ariel. I'm a wellness coach, and this channel is all about holistic wellness, personal development, and productivity. And I have to admit that I am a perfectionist, and if you can relate to the intro, you might be one too. In this video, I'm breaking down perfectionism and why it's not a strength, but a weakness that might actually be ruining your life. What seems like an innocent desire to do your best might actually be compromising your work, your relationships, your mental and physical health, and ultimately keeping you from reaching your full potential. Like I said, I'm a huge perfectionist, and I'm actively working on overcoming this personality trait. So I do know firsthand how exhausting and debilitating it can be. I also know what's helped me in the process of changing my mindset and becoming more okay with imperfection. That's what I'm going to be sharing with you, so let's get into it. Before we get all the way into it, I do want to clarify what a perfectionist is so we're all on the same page. And if there are any perfectionists watching, please let me know in the comments. We might need to start a support group or something. So a perfectionist isn't just somebody that is a high achiever or has high standards or a type A personality. A perfectionist is someone who strives for flawlessness, who sets exceedingly high standards and harshly judges themselves for any failures. They tend to measure their self-worth by productivity and accomplishments, and can easily be derailed by mistakes or criticism. However, their biggest critic is always themselves. This quote from Brené Brown in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, describes perfectionism as a self-destructive and addictive belief system that fuels this primary thought. If I look perfect and do everything perfectly, I can avoid or minimize the painful feelings of shame, judgment, and blame. Ouch. It wasn't until I read that book, The Gifts of Imperfection, that I even started to see my own perfectionist tendencies as problematic. Prior to that, I fully saw it as a strength. I mean, it afforded me good grades, lots of compliments and praise, acceptance to top universities, job opportunities. With all the positive feedback I was receiving, it became an ingrained behavior. Yes, it was pretty stressful and draining and overwhelming, but I honestly just thought that's what hard work felt like. And I'm not alone. Surprisingly, perfectionism has been on the rise since the 90s. So there are more perfectionists walking around today than ever before. And if you're a woman, if you are a firstborn or only child, if you're a child of immigrant parents, or if you were just raised by demanding parents in general, then your likelihood of becoming a perfectionist goes up. And lucky me, I fall into all of those categories. My upbringing definitely led to my perfectionism. Growing up, anything less than 100% wasn't well received. If I got a 95 on a test, the response would be, "That's good, but why didn't you get 100? I could never skip an extra credit opportunity. My schedule was jam-packed with extracurriculars to put on my college resume. I couldn't leave the house without ironing my clothes." I think you're seeing a trend here. And I completely get it. My parents are both immigrants to the US who struggled and worked their way up, and I'm so proud of all that they've been able to accomplish. And I know they wanted the best for me, and so I don't fault them at all. But it's really helpful for me to reflect on this and understand how I came to be this way. When it comes down to it, being a perfectionist did bring me some success. But now I'm learning to strive for success in a healthier way. Now you might be thinking, is perfectionism really that bad? Well, let's discuss the dark side. Perfectionism can wreck your mental health. It can lead to feelings of low self-worth, depression and anxiety, chronic stress, even self-harm. Perfectionists often neglect other areas of their life, like their physical health, because they're hyper-focused on a task or project. And burnout is pretty common among perfectionists, and it's something that I've experienced many times. When you're a perfectionist, you tend to procrastinate and procrastinate and procrastinate some more, either because you're waiting for the perfect time and place to get started, or you want to avoid the anxiety and the negative self-talk that you know you're going to experience. I think that's why we perfectionists tend to wait till the last minute, because the anxiety of getting it done in time overshadows the anxiety of trying to make it perfect. At that point, all you can do is just try to get it done. Starting a business was what really showed me that perfectionism was holding me back. I second-guessed everything and nothing felt like it was good enough. And everything I did took so long because 1, I would procrastinate, and 2, I would try to perfect every little thing. It was rough. Honestly, I gave up. I started to believe that I just wasn't cut out for entrepreneurship. It just wasn't something that I was capable of doing. But that's what perfectionism does. It causes you to set impossible goals, and when you inevitably don't reach those goals, you feel like a failure and throw in the towel. Or you might not even start at all. But I've decided that I'm not letting perfectionism hold me back. It's really hard to unlearn something that's so ingrained, but I'm committed to doing it because I want to learn and grow and make progress on the goals that I've set for myself. So, how do you overcome perfectionism? I can't say I've fully overcome it, and is it even possible to do so? If you've conquered perfectionism, please let me know your secrets in the comments. But I can tell you what has been helping me along this journey. The first thing is inner work and reflection. Understanding where this perfectionist comes from, when does it show up, how does it affect you. Exploring questions like those has given me a deeper sense of self-awareness, which has helped me to identify and manage certain behaviors and thoughts. And speaking of thoughts, becoming aware of my thoughts and self-talk has made a huge impact. I started to notice how mean and critical I was. It was kind of alarming, to be honest. But once you become aware of that inner critic, it becomes easier to challenge the negative thoughts and start to reduce them. Mindfulness meditation can help with this. I highly recommend the Calm app and Insight Timer app. Positive affirmations are helpful. I actually have a video coming out with positive affirmations for overcoming perfectionism, so definitely check that out. Therapy was also a game changer for me and really compounded my progress in these areas. Getting outside help from a professional is really worth it if you can. When it comes to getting things done as a perfectionist, there's a few strategies that I use. One is focusing on quantity over quality. I know that sounds bizarre, but just hear me out. So there's a story of an art teacher who divided his class into 2 groups. In the first group, he assigned them to make as many, I think it was paintings, as they could. And they were going to be graded on quantity, how many paintings they were able to produce. In the second group, they were assigned to produce 1 perfect painting, and they were going to be judged on the quality of that painting. So at the end of the class, it was actually the first group, the quantity group, that had the best quality work. And it makes sense because they were able to learn and develop their skills with practice. It's the repetition and the learning through experience that actually gets you closer to perfection. And this may not apply to everything, but for example, with YouTube, I set a goal to make 10 videos by the end of the year, which is actually a lot for me. Setting a quantity goal makes it easier for me to overcome my desire for perfection because I'm just focused on getting it out and I don't have time to spend weeks and weeks on one video. And in the process of reaching that goal, all the planning and the filming and editing, I'm naturally gonna get better. It's almost impossible not to. With productivity, overcoming the urge to avoid a task or perfect the task is what you have to focus on. I do this by breaking things down into really small bite-sized tasks to decrease overwhelm. Completing each small task is a mental win for me and feels a lot more manageable than trying to tackle the whole thing. I also like to start with rough drafts for anything that I'm working on. This helps me overcome the mental block of getting started. Because it feels low stakes, it's a lot less pressure. Do this and give yourself full permission to make it terrible. This really helps get me going and things tend to flow better from there. Setting time limits is another strategy. I can get really consumed on a task and end up overworking. So deciding on how much time I want to spend and setting an alarm is really helpful. Not gonna lie, I don't always stop when the alarm goes off, but at least it lets me know how I'm managing my time and allows me to take a break and come back to it later. One really important thing that I've been doing to overcome perfectionism is reframing my thoughts on failure and imperfection. When thoughts come up like,
"Oh no, what if I make a mistake?"
I've started telling myself that me making a mistake and showing up imperfectly is giving someone else permission to be imperfect too. It shows that it's okay, it's not the end of the world. Whether this is actually true and actually helping anybody doesn't really matter because it's helping me and it's helping me change my mindset. With failure, I try to think of it as a positive, as cliche as that sounds. I see it as an indication that I am taking a risk, that I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. As a person that's pretty risk averse, that is a win. I'll admit it, recovering from perfectionism is not easy. And I'm still on this journey and making progress every day. If you are a perfectionist, I would love to know what resonated with you and if you have any tips for managing it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this combo and want to see more content like this. And also don't forget to check out my video with affirmations for overcoming perfection. I hope to see you in the next video. See you then. Bye.